Can you make a reliable prediction of the impact of the epigenetics tech applied to Polonius species growth curves in appropriate temperate climates?
So what we want to do is just to make it super easy is
Yep.
not even worry about the epigenetic side at all, other than the fact
Okay.
that we have a straight version.
Uh-huh.
Because I think what that's going to do is it's going to slow down the due diligence phase from a standpoint of what we have.
Yeah.
And I already know from a standpoint of the breeding partners that I have and how much faster we're going, but I don't want that due diligence to have to slow down. I think if we just use the known knowledge of Polony in general, and that's all we really need to justify that this, so the only thing that I have made a stretch on is because of the straightness of the tree, we can plant more per acre.
Okay.
And so that's the only stretch, is that we're at 450 per acre instead
Okay.
of the 400 to 600 per hectare that normally happens indigenously. And aside from that stretch, everything else is just pure Polonia knowledge, of which I have white papers on every topic that with references for you guys to very easily validate that that particular expert did in fact publish that result.
Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And then, Paul, from our side, we've got our, we can run the forestry models and check kind of with the allometric equations and whatever you guys are using for the growth and yield models. And I love hearing that you can plant that higher density. That's super exciting. And also, I mean, that's the highest value Polonia, is the stuff that's kind of grown in the, in the US, is that stuff in the Appalachia up in the mountains that, that's got all that competition. It's got the tight growth rings. That's getting those nice prices. So that higher density is exciting to hear. That's great. And yeah, we can keep on the question list we got here, but that's lovely to hear, lovely to understand. And then question on the genetics that's not on our list, but it's you've got essentially a hybrid of Tomentosa and Fortunae and okay.
Yeah, so what we've done is so the elongata and the Fortunae, and then we've done breeding between those in order to create a new hybrid. And then from there, then I have bred back the straight version into those. So it's like an F3. And then from there, that's what we have then started to epigenetically enhance over the last year. And that's what we're finding when I call an apples to apples, which you guys don't have to worry about in your report. But when I compare how fast our trees are growing compared to that hybrid that we've been working on for 17 years, the leaf size is significantly bigger now than what it normally is. The growth structure, all of those is significantly different. But I don't want that to tie up slowing down the due diligence. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's super smart. Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, and that's something that that we're happy to hear, honestly, because that was kind of our same concern. And it's always, once you have a really nice solid model and growth rates, that's what you can build upon with some of the projections around the epigenetics, and that can happen when it happens.
Yeah,
can be
exactly.
built in there.
And I do have BYU agricultural department that is going to do the side by side hybrid versus our epigenetic of the hybrid in order to validate that over the next few years. But of course, we've got to grow ours to full height in order to do that. And we don't have the time for that. So that's why we're just saying, look, we're, significantly faster, but let's just use regular Polonia growth to, to justify what that is. Let's use regular Polonia value and lumber and timber and strength and, waterproofness and biomass and R value, all those things that are already established.
Yeah.
Yep. CO2 sequestering, all of that. And like I said, I've got white papers on all these different categories with at least a half dozen to a dozen references in each category for you guys to reference. And then, and then I also have on the medicine side, we have at least pretty close to 250 references on the medicine. But again, All of these other eggs isn't quite established yet. And so really the most important is, I think, just the timber value and the biomass, which has been known for a long time. And that's really what the model is built on. And then all these other golden eggs will establish later.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Keep it simple at the beginning, get it going, and get trees in the ground, and then
Exactly.
and it should stand on its own. I mean, which it does.
Yeah.
This tree.
Yeah. And then all these
Especially-
other golden eggs, we can then say, hey, by the way, here's this vertical, here's this vertical, here's this vertical, but we can at least fund based on timber and biomass value alone.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, that I think covers number 2 pretty well on our question list, AJ.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, here. Okay. So our next question was, like in terms of the epigenetic treatments, I know that we're not making a big deal about it as per strategy just mentioned, but in your experience, is there a qualitative difference in the timber quality or the harvestable products that are coming out?
There is. Yeah. So there is. But again, not to, as long as I reestablish the fact that we don't want to really go into that on your guys' report, but there is. We're seeing on the worst case scenario a 200% increase in yield and about a 40% increase in growth rate.
Oh, sure.
Almost everything is a 400%, between 400 and 700% increase in yield and growth structure. But I'll let our proof in the future establish that, but that's just what we're seeing. So cool. Like, for example, I'll just show you an example here and flip my camera. So these guys are a month old. They're about a foot tall. And you normally don't see leaves this big until it's at least 10 feet normally, right? So that's basically one of the, we go over here to the mother frequency chambers and things, so that these are,
so cool.
Yeah, these are 3 feet tall and 17, 18 foot leaves that you normally don't see on a tree till it's normally 15, 20 feet tall. So
wow.
Anyway,
and is there accelerated lignification too?
There is.
Uh-huh.
So normally you don't get this lignification until about, at least a tree this big, until about 9 months, and we're seeing lignification even at less than a month. So like here's,
wow,
it's already lignify already down there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's getting woody. Look at that.
We cut down normally you don't get flowers until it's 3rd to 5th year. This is 6 months old, and the whole tree is lignified. 6 months old. And then this one is this is our forest fire. We burned it twice, and after we burned it, this one we left normal, and then these ones we cut down after it was burned, and they reshooted back, and then now we already have shoots coming back in this burnt one. So we're 3 for 3 on the forest fire example. So
wow, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
okay, great.
What's
Yeah,
that?
and
That's
go ahead,
would that affect the biomass if it's, for example, used in paralysis?
Yeah. So
Conflicting.
Yeah, I'm excited to find out what these end up being, because everything we've done as far as corn and sunflowers and tomatoes, potatoes, wheat, barley, all the traditional agriculture, we're seeing a 400 to 700% increase in yield. So I'm expecting that we're seeing similar effects just in the last 6 months of what we've been doing here. And so when I share pictures with what we're seeing with my friends that we've been working on the hybrids with, they're blown away. They're like, there's no way. How are you doing that? So, but without that trying to muddy the waters as far as due diligence, we're expecting to thrash what the normal numbers are, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I appreciate the choice of words. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Cool. Just in just going through our list, and we understand that we're not muddying the waters, but just out of curiosity, when you've done these epigenetic treatments, with of the clones that you're producing now, do
Yep.
those any of those characteristics, like the improved nutrient uptake, other things, do those carry on to the like any clones coming off of that as a mother plant? Is that something that kind of sticks with it
Yep.
through time?
Yep. So
Mhm.
for example, the tree will not tolerate at all standing water.
No. Yeah.
And hey, Jack, will you do me a favor? Will you pull the double decker apart so they can see the roots? So I can hold the picture here.
Cool.
I'll just show you an example. Yeah, let's just remove the. So it's
Yeah.
it's in standing water, and we had to do that in order to harvest the clones from the roots without killing the tree, which is in
Right.
that vortexing chamber.
Uh-huh.
And so all of that's carried through. So every tree that's going out right now is basically an F6 already from series of different epigenetics, healthy stressors.
Mhm.
And the next one we're going to do is we're going to put the tree back through the gyro again. And then that'll be our F7, and then everything will be F7s going out.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And so you're doing it all from root cuttings, for the
Yeah,
most part.
so
Awesome.
we're harvesting the roots and extracting the stem cells from there, and then we turnkey again, reinstigate everything from the H6O4 water to the frequencies, the germinate, all the different
Mhm.
factors at the
Okay.
time of germination. So it gets it all again. So they've been so epigenetically, and all the miasms that pass down genetically are there. Then you have the turbocharge of the germination phase, and then everything goes out with that basically pre-treatment of the epigenetics, to whatever satellite location they're going to do their curing and be planted as a little seedling.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, well done. That's exciting. Awesome. Well, it's okay. So that's yes. And actually you just answered number 5. Thank you.
Well, and that
Um,
also brings in the fact that so you have to go back, not just 7 epigenetic iterations, but you also have to go back 4 breeding cycles, where we don't have any tomentosa as the majority contributor anymore. And
nice.
from that standpoint, we don't have the worry of any particular invasiveness either.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that also later on we get into locations, and where it already is growing really well is a good one.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about that. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So I guess our next question is more along like the field, like when you're doing the outplantings into the field, is there like a concept or a component around continued energetic
Yes,
stimuli?
there is.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So
Cool.
let me show you this. And this is all just cool stuff because we're not including all this in the report. But here's what we're doing, to the water. Hey, Joseph, will you turn off the light so you can see through the window a little bit better? So here's where we're structuring the water. I don't know if you can see
Yeah, the vortex
the
going.
vortex happening.
Vortexing,
So it's not
Schauberger style.
Yep. There's no pump moving that water. It's different energy fields. So we've got ultrasound, microcurrent, sound, plasma, all kinds of things going on that's tuning. And then there's a huge coil around. There's a coil in the back that creates the double. So that's where the mechanical motion comes from, on that. And so then that is then fed down the wall, because you don't want to use a pump to move the water. It's all gravity fed, and then down, getting that. And then from here, that water is then made into the H6O4, where we add 4 additional hydrogen and 4 additional oxygen. And then the energy bubble so there's the entire property has one of our scalar bubbles on the whole property, and then in the propagation room here where they're germinating is all in here in the scalar bubble. So this is what is spread apart, whether it's a 1 acre project, a 100 acre project, 1,000 acre, doesn't matter. We just separate that antenna further and further away. And as long as there's a link cable that connects the synchronization of this antenna to that one, that's where it gets its power from. So you just need to power up one side. And then from here, we can do other kinds of mitigation. But at the moment, we're just cycling through all of the different grounding fields, the field frequency of the earth, the regeneration of DNA, especially bacteria and fungi, and then all of the essential minerals and vitamins are basically broadcast on a every 1 second.
And that's scalar plasma. Can we see the scalar plasma device? Do you have, that's the purple light, right? That's emanating.
So that's this is the scalar, and then the plasma. This is the multiplexer. This is the ultrasound, the high voltage plasma, the microcurrent, and then the pulse electromagnetic field. And this all is done at the time for 24-hour at the time of germination. And so then this is then what gets sent. These are about a week old. So they're going to be much smaller. They're going to be this size when we ship them out, you know. So the smaller the better, because they just grow so fast.
Yep.
You're a very good dad. Can you adopt me?
So it's the same
Okay.
thing we do to people, you know, but it's, you know, what we've been doing for 20 years.
That's awesome. No,
And
and
what's
also
the, did you mention the radius of the plasma that you can, the emanation of like the PMF and the plasma? What's the radius that you can cover with that device?
So the high voltage plasma is about 60 feet that the ions will travel.
And so it continuously needs to, or just at the beginning stage?
We just do it at the time of germination. Now, let me switch it over to this one. So the same technology that's up here is in the bottom of these. So the roots are growing into a vortexing water where ultrasound and all of that's happening as well to help turbocharge root growth. So we got all kinds of different frequencies in different sectors, you know, the high voltage plasma, the microcurrent, that's happening up in the, and we're not even adding additional CO2 that would really turbocharge these even more, but just the high voltage plasma, the microcurrent, the ultrasound, and the PMF is all into the water at the water level. And so when you look in there, you can see, you know, roots growing out into the water. So
you would have to create like maybe a course for licensing with the licensing agreement.
So at every location there will be a scalar bubble. There will be the water, what I call the swervish, and all the technology in the water. So that then goes down and is then drip fed to the trees. And although right now the licensees that we've done with farmers and ranchers, they've just put them in the ground. We don't have equipment out to them until the spring.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And you have providers of the equipment?
How does that affect the growth, not having the right equipment? Did they have any other different results?
No, they're still doing better than normal. So if you compare, even without our equipment out at the field, what we've done to it, you know, pre-planting is the most important. But if you've got the structured water every time it drinks, and you've got the energy fields and all of that are constantly happening, that's even better. So each of our licensed locations will have a swervish with all the electromagnetic frequencies into it, and then you'd also have the scalar bubble for mitigating against problems, but mainly continuously providing an upcharge of minus 100 to 200 millivolts of energy, plus any vibrational frequency we want to add into the field. As far as,
And
yeah.
so, but without the equipment, was the highest growth so far from your licensees? Have they told you anything about the highest growth?
No, so right now, let's see, there's about 30 of them, and they're all just fresh. You know, they've only been in the ground a couple of months.
Okay.
But probably the two out here, we have one that's growing a little over an inch a day, and we have one that's not quite that tall, but I mean, you know, the trunk's already this big around.
And only a couple of weeks.
They've been in, yeah, about 3 months.
3 months. Okay. I see.
Yeah. And it's
Thank
the one's
you,
almost
Paul.
6 feet. Yeah, one's almost 6 feet tall already, and it's about 3 months old.
That's
So
awesome.
Paul, the tree,
Okay.
the tree that you kindly gave us, it hasn't really grown, and